There are moments in life when loss feels overwhelming, when what you once held in your hands, your peace, your joy, your opportunities, your relationships, seems to slip away without warning. In those moments, it's easy to believe that what is gone forever. It's easy to sit in the silence of disappointment and wonder if things will ever be whole again. But there is a truth greater than loss: restoration. God is not limited by what you've lost. He is not restricted by time, by circumstances, or by the mistakes of the past. What feels like an ending to you is often the beginning of something greater in His plan. Sometimes, what was taken away had to make room for something better, something stronger, something deeper, something more aligned with your purpose. You may have lost years. You may have lost trust. You may have lost opportunities you thought would define your future. But God doesn't restore in small, predictable ways. He restores beyond expectations. He restores in ways that don't just bring you back to where you were, but elevate you to a place you never imagined you could reach. Think about it. What if the delay was preparation? What if the loss was protection? What if what didn't work out was actually making space for something that will exceed everything you prayed for? Restoration doesn't always look like getting the exact same thing back. Sometimes it looks like peace where there was once anxiety. Sometimes it looks like wisdom where there was once confusion. Sometimes it looks like new doors opening that you never even knew existed. God sees what you cannot see. He knows what you cannot know. And even in the seasons where everything feels broken, He is quietly working behind the scenes, rebuilding, reshaping, and restoring. So don't lose hope. What you lost does not define your future. Your story is not over. There is still more ahead of you than behind you. And the same God who carried you through the loss is the God who will bring restoration. Not just in the ways you expect, but in ways you can't even imagine. Hold on. Trust the process. Stay faithful, because restoration is coming. Loss has a way of making everything feel final. When something important disappears from your life, whether it's a relationship, an opportunity, time you can't get back, or a sense of direction, it can feel like the story has already been written and there's nothing left to change. In those moments, your mind may replay what happened again and again, convincing you that this is where it ends, that this is as far as you will go. But that perspective is limited, shaped by what you can see right now rather than what is still unfolding. What you've lost is real, and the pain attached to it shouldn't be ignored or dismissed. It's natural to grieve what mattered to you. However, loss is not a definition of your future. It is only a chapter. A chapter can be painful, confusing, even overwhelming, but it does not carry the authority to decide how the entire story will turn out. There is still space for change, growth, and unexpected outcomes that can shift everything in ways you cannot currently imagine. One of the most difficult things to accept is that life does not always move in a straight, predictable line. Setbacks happen, doors close, plans fall apart, but those moments do not erase your value, your potential, or your purpose. They simply redirect the path. Sometimes what feels like a dead end is actually a turning point, one that forces you to grow stronger, think differently, and discover parts of yourself that would have remained hidden otherwise. It's easy to measure your life based on what you had and lost, comparing the present to a past that feels better or more secure. That comparison can trap you in a mindset where you believe your best days are behind you. But the truth is, your life is not confined to what has already happened. There is still time for new experiences, new opportunities, and new beginnings that can reshape your journey entirely. You are not disqualified because something didn't work out. You are not finished because something ended. The fact that you are still here means there is still purpose ahead of you. Every setback carries within it the possibility of a comeback, even if that comeback looks completely different from what you expected. The future is not built solely on what you lost. It is built on what you choose to do next, how you choose to rise, and how you continue to move forward despite the weight of what is behind you. Even when it feels like everything has been taken, there is still something left within you: strength, resilience, the ability to begin again. And sometimes that is more powerful than anything you lost. It's natural to hope that when something is restored, it will come back exactly as it was. You may find yourself wishing for the same opportunity, the same relationship, or the same sense of stability you once had. But restoration doesn't always operate within the limits of your expectations. What God does often goes far beyond simple replacement. Instead of returning you to your previous state, He works in ways that elevate, strengthen, and transform your life on a deeper level. When you expect restoration to look exactly like the past, you might miss what is actually being placed in front of you. Sometimes, what is coming is not a copy of what you lost, but something far greater in purpose and impact. It may carry more peace, more clarity, and more alignment with who you are meant to become. What you had before may have been good, but what is ahead has the potential to be better in ways that are not immediately obvious. God's restoration often includes growth that you didn't have before. It includes lessons learned through pain, strength built through struggle, and wisdom gained through experience. These are things that cannot be given without the process you went through. So when restoration comes, it doesn't just bring something new. It brings a new version of you, someone more prepared, more aware, and more capable of handling what lies ahead. There are moments when you may feel like you've been set back too far for anything meaningful to come out of it. But God is not bound by the scale of your loss. He doesn't measure restoration based on what seems fair or equal. He works beyond human calculation, often bringing outcomes that surprise you, exceed your expectations, and shift your understanding of what is possible. What seemed like a setback can become the very foundation for something greater than you could have planned on your own. It's also important to understand that what you receive in restoration may look different, but that difference is intentional. It might come in the form of new opportunities that you hadn't considered, new relationships that bring healthier connections, or a new direction that leads to fulfillment you didn't know you were missing. At first, it may not match what you had hoped for, but over time, you begin to see the depth and purpose behind it. Trusting in this kind of restoration requires letting go of the need to control the outcome. It requires believing that what is being prepared for you is not just a replacement, but an upgrade, something designed with greater insight into your future. Even when you can't fully see it yet, there is a bigger picture unfolding, one that goes beyond your current understanding. What is being restored to you has the potential to surpass what you lost, not just in quantity, but in quality, purpose, and impact. And when it finally comes together, you may realize that if things had worked out the way you originally wanted, you would have missed something far greater. It is often difficult to accept that something painful could serve a meaningful purpose. When you experience delays, setbacks, or unexpected losses, your first instinct may be to see them as obstacles, evidence that things are going wrong or that you are somehow falling behind. You might question why something didn't happen when you expected it to, or why an opportunity slipped away just when it seemed within reach. In those moments, it can feel like time is being wasted and progress is being blocked. However, not every delay is a denial, and not every loss is meant to harm you. Sometimes, what feels like a setback is actually a form of preparation. There are things you may not yet be ready for, responsibilities you haven't fully developed the strength to carry, situations that require more wisdom than you currently possess, or environments that demand a level of maturity that is still being shaped within you. The waiting period, as frustrating as it may seem, can be a time where growth is quietly taking place beneath the surface. Preparation doesn't always look productive from the outside. It can feel like nothing is happening, like you are standing still while others move ahead. But internally, something is shifting. Your perspective is expanding. Your patience is being tested and strengthened. You are learning lessons that cannot be taught in moments of comfort or success. These lessons become the foundation that supports you when the right opportunity finally arrives. At the same time, what you perceive as loss may actually be protection. There are situations that appear good on the surface, but carry consequences you cannot yet see. A closed door may be keeping you from entering something that would have caused more harm than good. A relationship that didn't last may have been preventing deeper pain in the future. An opportunity that didn't work out might have led you down a path that was not aligned with your long-term well-being. It's not always possible to recognize protection in the moment. In fact, it often feels like the opposite. You may feel disappointed, confused, or even frustrated, believing that something valuable has been taken from you. But with time and reflection, there is often a clearer understanding of why things happened the way they did. You begin to see that what didn't work out was not necessarily a loss, but a redirection towards something better suited for you. This perspective requires trust. Trust that there is a bigger picture beyond what you can currently see. It involves accepting that your understanding is limited and that not everything can be explained immediately. Even when things don't make sense, there is a process unfolding, one that is shaping your path in ways that are intentional and purposeful. In the end, delays and losses are not always signs that something is wrong. They can be signs that something is being refined, adjusted, or safeguarded. And while it may take time to fully understand their purpose, they often play a crucial role in guiding you toward a future that is more stable, more fulfilling, and more aligned with who you are meant to become. When you think about restoration, it's natural to picture things going back to the way they used to be. You may imagine regaining exactly what was lost, rebuilding the same relationship, reclaiming the same opportunity, or returning to a time when everything felt stable and secure. That expectation can become so strong that you unintentionally limit your ability to recognize restoration when it appears in a different form. Restoration does not always mirror the past. In many cases, it takes on a completely new shape, one that may not be immediately recognizable as something good. Instead of restoring the exact situation you lost, God may bring peace into an area where there was once anxiety, clarity where there was confusion, or strength where there was weakness. These forms of restoration may not feel as tangible as what you had before, but they are often far more valuable and lasting. For example, you might have lost a relationship that once meant everything to you. You may spend time hoping that things will go back to how they were, only to find that restoration comes in the form of emotional healing and self-worth rather than reconciliation. At first, this can feel disappointing because it doesn't match your expectation. But over time, you begin to realize that what you receive, peace, confidence, and a healthier mindset, is something you didn't have before and something that prepares you for better connections in the future. In other situations, restoration may come as new opportunities rather than the return of old ones. A door that closed may never reopen, but new doors may appear, ones that align more closely with your purpose and growth. These opportunities might seem unfamiliar or even intimidating at first, simply because they are not what you originally planned. But they often carry the potential to take you further than the path you initially wanted to follow. One of the challenges in recognizing this kind of restoration is letting go of the idea that the past was the best you could have. When you hold too tightly to what was, you risk overlooking what is being offered to you now. The past can feel comfortable because it is familiar, even if it wasn't perfect. But growth often requires stepping into something new, something that stretches your understanding and pushes you beyond your previous limits. It's also important to understand that different does not mean worse. Just because something doesn't look the same doesn't mean it lacks value. In fact, the differences are often what make the restoration more meaningful. They reflect growth, change, and a deeper level of purpose that could not have been achieved by simply returning to the way things were. Recognizing restoration in its many forms requires openness and patience. It means being willing to see beyond your expectations and trusting that what is unfolding has value, even if it doesn't immediately match your vision. Over time, what once seemed unfamiliar can become exactly what you needed, and you may come to see that the new form of restoration is not a replacement, but an improvement, one that carries more depth, stability, and meaning than what you originally lost. In difficult seasons, maintaining hope and faith can feel like one of the hardest things to do. When circumstances don't change, when answers don't come, and when progress seems invisible, it's easy to become discouraged. You may begin to question whether anything is happening at all or whether your situation will ever improve. Doubt can slowly replace confidence, and the longer the struggle continues, the heavier everything begins to feel. Yet it is in these very moments that hope and faith become most important. They are not just emotions you feel when things are going well, they are choices you make when everything around you suggests giving up. Hope is the decision to believe that your situation is not permanent. Faith is the willingness to trust that there is still a purpose being worked out, even when you cannot see any visible evidence of it. There will be times when nothing around you seems to support that belief. You may not see immediate results. You may not receive clear signs that things are improving. In fact, it may feel like everything is standing still or even moving in the wrong direction. But growth and progress are not always visible. Some of the most important changes happen beneath the surface in ways that cannot be measured or easily recognized at the moment. Choosing to hold on to hope does not mean ignoring reality. It means acknowledging the difficulty of your situation while refusing to let it define your expectations for the future. It means understanding that just because something hasn't happened yet does not mean it won't happen at all. Timing plays a role in every process, and not everything unfolds according to your schedule. Faith, on the other hand, requires trust beyond what you can control. It asks you to believe that there is a bigger picture, one that you may not fully understand right now. It means continuing to move forward even when the path is unclear, and believing that your steps are not wasted. Every effort you make, every moment you endure, and every lesson you learn is contributing to something greater than what you can currently see. There is also strength that develops in these seasons. When you continue to stand firm despite uncertainty, you build resilience. When you keep believing despite delays, your perspective begins to shift. You become less dependent on immediate results and more grounded in a deeper sense of trust. This kind of strength stays with you even after the difficult season has passed. Holding on to hope and faith does not guarantee that everything will happen exactly as you expect, but it does position you to remain open, prepared, and steady as things begin to change. It keeps you from giving up too soon, from walking away just before something shifts in your favor. Even when it feels like nothing is happening, something is still unfolding. And sometimes the quietest seasons are the ones where the most meaningful work is being done within you.